chapter 3, verse 25. Sakta karmani avidvamsho yatha kurvanti bharata kuryad vidvams tatha saktas chikirshur loka sangraham. As the ignorant perform their duties with attachment to results, the learned may similarly act, but without attachment, for the sake of leading people on the right path. A person in Krishna consciousness and a person not in Krishna consciousness are differentiated by different desires. A Krishna conscious person does not do anything which is not conducive to development of Krishna consciousness. He may even act exactly like the ignorant person who is too much attached to material activities. One is engaged in such activities for the satisfaction of his sense gratification, whereas the other is engaged for the satisfaction of Krishna. Therefore, the Krishna conscious person is required to show the people how to act and how to engage the results of action for the purpose of Krishna consciousness. So devotees have to show how to live Krishna conscious lifestyle, and by their example, we have to show others how to live. So our behavior must be ideal, because when others look at us, they should actually get an understanding of what it is to be living a Krishna conscious life. So a devotee means big responsibility. So here Prabhupada is saying a Krishna conscious person, he'll act exactly like an ignorant person, but his consciousness is different. Right, so he might be engaged in similar activities, but one is engaged for sense gratification, whereas the other is engaged for satisfaction of Krishna. So in everything we do, we should only always think about satisfying Krishna, and we should become a role model for others to follow. Okay, chapter 3, verse 26. Nabuddhi vedam janayed agnana karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani vidvan yukta samacharan. So as not to disrupt the minds of ignorant men attached to fruitive results of prescribed duties. A learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. So this is a verse specifically giving us guidance in terms of how we need to preach. So when people come into Krishna consciousness, generally they are ignorant and attached to their fruitive results. Of course, they don't do prescribed duties, but anyway, they're attached to fruitive results. The learned person should not induce them to stop work. So we don't ask people to stop work. But by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities, so that that person will gradually progress. And because he is currently not in a situation where he can understand or so we cannot ask him to stop work, basically. And slowly and steadily, in spirit of devotion, we engage him in Krishna consciousness. Purport: Vejeshta sarve Rameva Vedya. That is the end of all Vedic rituals, all performances of sacrifices, and everything that is put into the Vedas, including all direction for material activities. Also are meant for understanding Krishna, who is the ultimate goal of life. All direction for material activities is basically Varnashrama. Meant for understanding Krishna. Vedashta sarve Rameva Vedya. But because the conditioned souls do not know anything beyond sense gratification, they study the Vedas to that end. So this is also very interesting, right? So many people say, okay, we've read the Vedas, but you can get whatever you want from the Vedas. So if somebody wants sense gratification, they study the Vedas to that end, to secure sense gratification, because everything is there in the Vedas. But through fruitive activities and sense gratification regulated by the Vedic rituals, one is gradually elevated to Krishna consciousness. So see, the beauty about Vedas is if somebody follows the karma aspect, not the vikarma. Vikarma is activities that should not be done. Karma is the activities that need to be done based on one's varna and ashrama. So if somebody follows those prescribed duties, then they will be gradually elevated to Krishna consciousness. So they will be engaged in fruitive activities and sense gratification, but because it is regulated, they will slowly come to Krishna consciousness. But the problem is in this Kali Yuga where people are not engaged in sense gratification, following the rules of Vedic scriptures, since they're following vikarma, work that should not be done, they will not get elevated to Krishna consciousness naturally. But otherwise, one who follows Vedic rituals, even if he is trying for sense gratification, he will gradually elevate to Krishna consciousness. That is a difference between Vedic age and Kali Yuga. Therefore, a realized soul in Krishna consciousness should not disturb others in their activities or understanding. Prabhupada is saying, even in their understanding, we should not disturb them. But we should act by showing how the results of all work can be dedicated to the service of Krishna. So this is very interesting. So even if somebody has some other understanding, Prabhupada is saying, don't change it. Simply show them how to use the results of work for Krishna. Okay, so start giving some part of salary for Krishna consciousness. Because by doing that, slowly one becomes purified. One first, they'll understand saying that, okay, this money is not really mine. They'll develop some kind of detachment to whatever extent they are parting from with their salary. And of course, because it is being used in Krishna service, they will get the benefit. And they will progress. The learned Krishna conscious person may act in such a way that the ignorant person working for sense gratification may learn how to act and how to behave. So the ignorant person might be working for sense gratification, but the Krishna conscious person makes him to give up some part of his earning salary for Krishna. So Prabhupada is saying we have to how to act and how to behave. So he should see us and learn. That means that we should be doing it ourselves. Otherwise, how can we tell others? Although the ignorant man is not to be disturbed in his activities, a slightly developed Krishna conscious person may directly be engaged in the service of the Lord without waiting for other Vedic formulas. So there are two kinds of people Prabhupada is talking about. One is an ignorant man. He should not be disturbed in his activities, which means that he's working, he's doing whatever, it's fine. Just give the result to Krishna. But if there is a slightly developed Krishna conscious person, if he has even little inclination, then he can be engaged directly in the service of the Lord. We don't have to wait for anything. This ignorant person is not, his situation is not, doesn't allow him to directly engage in service of the Lord because he might not be interested at this point of time. So from him, just take his results and engage it in Krishna service. But for a slightly developed Krishna conscious person, engage him in Krishna service. So this is a very practical, nice guideline. For this fortunate man, there is no need to follow Vedic rituals. For the one who is slightly developed Krishna consciousness, we don't have to wait for anything. Prabhupada is saying there is no need to follow Vedic rituals. There's no requirement to do any purificatory processes, etc. Because by direct Krishna consciousness, one can have all the results one would otherwise derive from following one's prescribed duties. So here Prabhupada is saying that even if one doesn't follow prescribed duties, it's okay. If one has developed Krishna consciousness. So, but it's very important to make sure that we set the right example. We help people understand how they have to live. People should not whimsically start giving up their responsibilities, saying, okay, these Krishna conscious devotees are anyway not doing their duties. So for the sake of leading people onto the right path, we will have to do things in a certain way and help them understand also based on their maturity. That doesn't mean that we don't surrender ourselves, or we don't that we should keep working all our life. No, that is not what it means. Whatever extent we are working and we are surrendering results, that's what others should see and learn from that. If anybody has any questions, you can please interrupt. Otherwise, I'll keep going. 3.27. Prakrite kriyamānāni gunai karmāni sarvashah ahankara vimūಢātmā kartāham iti manyate. The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. Okay, this verse is extremely difficult to understand. See, we are so bewildered by false ego that we actually think that we are the doer of everything. Literally everything. If somebody becomes happy, then we think, oh, okay, I'm the cause for their happiness. If somebody becomes sad, distressed, we say, okay, I became the cause for their unhappiness. Pretty much everything that we do, we only think that we are doer. We are the doer, that we are doing it. It's very difficult to come to this platform of realization. We should remember all the time saying that activities which are materially oriented are not carried out by us, but just carried out by modes of nature. If at all we engage in some activities of Krishna consciousness, that can be attributed to the activities of the soul, because that is not coming from previous karma, because bhakti is independent. But any material activities that are done, they're just being carried out by the three modes of material nature based on our previous karma and whatever desires we have developed. But we should not think I'm the doer, I'm just the desirer. And so we should desire the right things so that we don't get stuck. But this consciousness that I am not the doer is very important, because that itself is karma bandhana. Thinking that I did something is a result of, it will result in bondage. So it's very, very important. This consciousness, that I am not the doer. I'm simply the desirer. Please contemplate on this. Two persons, one in Krishna consciousness and the other in material consciousness, working on the same level, may appear to be working on the same platform, but there's a wide gulf of difference in their respective positions. The person in material consciousness is convinced by false ego that he is the doer of everything. By false ego. Because he doesn't understand how this whole system is working. That's what Prabhupada is saying. He does not know that the mechanism of the body is produced by material nature, which works under the supervision of the Supreme Lord. So one who does not know that all this is actually being carried out by modes of nature, he will inevitably think that he is the doer. And the modes of material nature working under the supervision of the Supreme Lord. Materialistic person has no knowledge that ultimately he is under the control of Krishna. The person in false ego takes all credit for doing everything independently. And that is a symptom of his nescience. He does not know that his gross and subtle body is creation of material nature under the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as such, his bodily and mental activities should be engaged in the service of Krishna and Krishna consciousness. The ignorant man forgets that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Rishikesha, or the master of the senses of the material body. For due to his long misuse of the senses in sense gratification, he is factually bewildered by the false ego, which makes him forget his eternal relationship with Krishna. So basically, ignorant person has no understanding about relationship with Krishna, has no understanding about how this material nature is working, has no understanding how he's completely under the control of the modes of nature, and he thinks he's independent and he's the doer, that he's doing everything. So when we are doing some work, sometimes it is the result of our past karma. Sometimes we are creating new karma. Uh, when we are creating new karma also, it is just our desire to create that karma. But the karma is carried out by the body, by the modes. So if we are conscious enough, then we don't engage ourselves in activities which are going to materially bind us. We will engage ourselves in the service of Krishna, remembering that Krishna is the supreme controller, he is the Rishikesha. But if we don't know that, then we simply engage in material activities. So our consciousness has to be always very, very clear that I am not the doer. Materially, things that are happening, we should not desire for anything material. So things that are happening in our life mostly will be result of past karma, or if we are making progress, etc., Krishna might be testing us, etc., right? So we should never think, oh, I did this, I became the cause for somebody's happiness or suffering or whatever. Right? Because the moment we think like that, then we become the doer, then we get the karma phala. So this is very, very important that we don't think that we are the doer. So because we'll study later that there are 5 causes. It's just one of the cause, right? So we're not all the cause. So thinking that I'm the doer is incomplete understanding, because there are 4 other reasons which have to kind of fall in place for something to happen. And the ultimate sanction is the Supreme Lord, the Super Soul. So if all these 5 reasons don't come into factor, then we alone cannot do anything. We can desire, and we are one of the doers. Then there are 4 other doers. So taking whole and soul responsibility for something, either success or failure, is ignorance, because we are not so powerful. But what we do is we think that, oh, I am the doer, and we take full responsibility. I caused this misery for somebody else, and this and that and all that. We should understand, okay, something had to happen, it happened, and that's it. From next time we should make sure that, if there is any possibility of us not getting involved in troubling somebody, we should be careful and avoid that situation as much as possible. But simply brooding over something that happened, thinking that we are the sole responsible person, is ignorance. This is false ego. Multiple ways false ego. One is thinking that I am the doer, not knowing that there are 4 other doers. The other is forgetting relationship with Krishna. So multiple types of false ego involved. Rohit, you had some question?
Yes, Prabhuji. For example, just now you mentioned, let's say we are sick or ill and then we are taking even medicine, right? So, for example, I got sick because of my own mistake, let's say.
नहीं वो तो ऐसे होता ही नहीं है. That is the point I'm making. That we think that we are the doers. Think, oh, I did this, so this happened. No, but if you have to fall sick, that's not a result of your this life's action. It is a result of your past life action. And you don't know what was the situation, what happened, etc. You are just getting karma phala right now. Now, it might look like there was an immediate cause.
Right.
And the reason that it is like that is otherwise we'll go crazy. Okay, without finding an immediate cause, like say, suppose suddenly some glass broke somewhere, and nobody was near that glass also. People will go crazy, right? Saying that, oh, how did this glass break? Nobody was there near that glass.
Right.
So to avoid that kind of, bewilderment, generally material nature creates some immediate cause, though it's not required. It just creates an immediate cause so that people can attribute. Saying, oh, this person was standing there, his hand touched the glass fell down, so it broke. Oh, he'll like, oh, okay, fine. I got a explanation. But
Right.
actually, that person standing there, nothing to do with it. It had to happen. Maybe he had to be the cause, immediate cause. So he became the immediate cause, right? So especially things like this, like falling sick, suddenly you become angry at something. No, all these are just because of past karma. You don't have to brood over it after that is done. Like, oh, I should not have done this. Maybe I could have avoided this. Maybe I should not have done this way,
Exactly.
making us entangled more and more and more.
Actually,
Because
same
we
thing
are,
happened with me, Prabhuji. That's what so it's very small, very trivial, but like I drank cold water one day before, next day I drank cold water, I got sick. Same thing,
yeah,
same situation.
yeah.
All,
So
so
then
yeah,
you would have like cursed yourself. Oh,
yeah, yeah,
I shouldn't have done
yeah.
this.
3 days now. I'm cursing myself daily that 1 second I could have avoided, and
Yeah, but
so
it's such a yeah. This is basically what Krishna is saying here. Don't think you are the doer, right?
got
So
it.
I mean, it doesn't mean that we don't take responsibility for our actions, but there's no point brooding. So you just learn. Okay, in case it looked like cold water drinking caused it. Okay, next time maybe don't drink cold water if that's possible. But if it again happens, it means that again it is destined to happen. That's all. So these material things actually frivolous. We should not even bother ourselves with all this. But we are so materially entangled that every small thing we make it big, and like
Right.
the whole world is dependent on the reason that that I did this. So it's false ego.
Also, Prabhuji, you mentioned once, I think, in the class itself that Prabhupada ji, they had a headache also. They don't take a tablet, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, see, basically we know that like Prabhupada once he had a severe toothache. Everybody was saying, "Doctor, please go to the dentist." Prabhupada. Prabhupada didn't go. Because he had the strength to tolerate it. He simply tolerated it, and after a few days, the tooth he pulled out the tooth by himself, and then all swelling went off, and then over chapter. As in, see,
So,
we should not try to imitate Prabhupada because
right,
he
right,
is
right.
at a very different level, right? But the whole point is, suppose there's a headache and you can tolerate the headache, don't take crocin. If you can't tolerate the headache, take crocin. As in, do whatever it is required. No, don't brood over saying, "Oh, we discussed in class that I should not take crocin. I'm taking crocin," and then we become mentally entangled into that situation unnecessarily.
Right.
So, point I'm making is, materially, if something happens, should not get brood too much on why it happened, how it could have been. Yeah, I mean, learning should always be taken from any situation, every situation, because there are ways. It'll always make us more Krishna conscious. So we just learn that and move on. Not, yeah, I mean, this especially this I've seen even many times. I also do, day 1, day 2, day 3. Same thought is going on. Hey, arey,
Yeah.
papa, bas karo. How much will you pull
E-
it?
Even tolerance level you mentioned, right? Within 1 hour, within 2 hours, taking tablet, we know easily available everything. Quickly take it.
Yeah, but the big problem, with that is that we just don't learn tolerance at all in life. We cannot tolerate anything. No, this is just a training for tolerance. A simple small headache or something like that, right? Which if you tolerate 1, 2, 3 days, anyway, that I mean, most of the cases that problem will cease to exist, right? And suppose say whatever half a day we are able to tolerate and the headache went away. Now, this means that we can at least try to tolerate other things as well in life. Otherwise, we will always want super quick solutions for every problem, which is not going to be there all the time. So then we become perturbed, then we become disturbed, we become materially conscious. So that is why we have to be Krishna conscious and not problem conscious, right? We are always in some form or the other, we want to be problem conscious, material conscious. If we are always so materially conscious, where there is time for being Krishna conscious?
Even I'll tell you the extent that mind find reason. For example, I felt it today itself that okay, I'm feeling sick. Now chanting won't happen perfectly. I've gone to that route also. Work
Mm.
won't happen perfectly. I can't eat. I can't sleep. Everything. So let's take medicine and get it quickly solved. So yeah,
Yes,
very
of
bad.
weakness. I mean, is there from past lives, etc. Our conditioning, but we should work. We should fight these situations because it's not like it's very important. Because of course, I mean, there's no question of giving up bhakti, right? Like activities of bhakti should continue. If they continue strongly, then these things will go off. But it's also good to try and kind of not get entangled in these chotomoto things. And
Sure,
see,
sure.
in fact, actually, it's interesting. I keep observing, saying the same kind of situation keeps repeating in our lives again and again, over and over. It's not like this is the one and only situation of attributing something to our actions and brooding over it. It will just another instance will come, same thing will happen. Another instance will come, same thing will happen. So we should be smart and say, okay, I know I'm going to do this now. I'm going to brood over this. Okay, it's so easy. It's gamified. I mean, I know this is how I'm going to react. So why not I just break it now? Break the pattern. This time I'm not going to do. Isn't it? I mean, have you all observed this? We tend to do
Absolutely.
repeat the same behavior again and again. Same behavior. Right? We actually, if you take 30 seconds, then you can write the whole conversation that is going to happen now. These things will happen either with ourselves, with somebody else, whatever it is. We exactly know how we are going to behave, how the other person is going to behave, but we still let ourselves behave that way, even though we know that this is not going to result in a good end, happy end, or whatever that is, isn't it? So these
Yes.
things we should understand, we should recognize. That is the strength of bhakti, actually. I mean, apart from giving us, supreme destination, these chotu-motu side effects we can experience with respect to how we deal with material things.
Sure,
So
Prabhuji.
remember this, na sochati na kankshati. Remember this. We should not have any desire, material desire. We should not have any anxiety, materially. This is like, if we can follow this, then we will make tremendous progress. Tremendous progress. Okay. Anybody has any questions? Yeah, this is a very important verse to understand. Don't become the doer. We should not become the doers. Even if you engage in material things, we should not become the doers. By just taking that responsibility, sole responsibility, that we become doers. Remembering that there is body, there is situation, there is super soul, etc. Also being responsible for the action, we don't become the sole doers, and so we don't get the karma phala for that action. Otherwise, we get the karma phala. We get the fruits of that action. That okay? Is that clear? I mean, I
Yes,
took
Prabhuji.
like many years to understand this. I mean, not that I am able to practice it well today also, but at least theoretically I understand. Saying, oh, okay, when this had to happen, now let me move on. Okay. 3.28. Tattvavitu mahabaho gunakarma vibhagayo gunaguneshu vartanta iti matva na sajjate. One who is in knowledge of the absolute truth, Almighty Arm, does not engage himself in the senses and sense gratification, knowing well the differences between work in devotion and work for fruitive results. So one should be able to recognize this. What is the result of work in devotion? What is the result of working for sense gratification? Knowing that one does not engage in himself in the senses and sense gratification, which means that even when we are actually in this verse, no, in other words, even when we are eating, sleeping, etc., we should not engage in the senses. So, for example, we are eating something. It's not required that, while materially it's completely the opposite. They say, you enjoy your food, your senses should get gratified. Actually, in Krishna consciousness, it's the other way around. When we're eating prasadam, we honor prasadam. The mood is that of, respect and, thanking the Lord for giving his mercy. And it's not about the taste at all. It's not about the taste at all. That is why we should not be talking about taste of prasadam. So we don't engage in the sense. We don't engage in this sense or tongue. Oh, nice. This is engaging. We don't engage in the senses. We only engage the senses when we are engaged in service of Krishna. So suppose the eyes, we look at somebody beautiful, then we don't react to it. But we look at the Lord, we react to it, saying that, oh, so beautiful form. So materially, we should not engage in the senses. Let's see what Prabhupada says in the purport. The knower of the absolute truth is convinced of his awkward position in material association. So if you know the absolute truth, then we know, okay, oh, I'm stuck in this foreign country. Awkward, extremely awkward. Especially people, devotees who are finding it difficult to practice Krishna consciousness because of their house environment, etc. They can understand how awkward it is. It's really awkward. Material association itself is awkward. He knows that he is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, and that his position should not be in the material creation. He knows his real identity as part and parcel of the Supreme, who is eternal bliss and knowledge. And he realizes that somehow or the other is entrapped in the material conception of life. In his pure state of existence, he is meant to dovetail his activities in devotion service, which means whatever he does, it should be in connection with Krishna, somehow or the other. Either directly engage in service of Krishna or indirectly engage in service of Krishna, but it has to be connected. Dovetail means connecting, linking. He therefore engages himself in the activities of Krishna consciousness, becomes naturally unattached to activities of material senses, which are all circumstantial and temporary. He knows that his material condition of life is under the supreme control of the Lord. We should remember this. We forget this. We think we are the doers. We are the one who is in control. Our material condition is under the supreme control of the Lord. If we are surrendered to the Lord, then why are we worried? It is under the supreme control of the Lord. We don't have to worry. Consequently, he is not disturbed by any kind of material reactions, which he considers to be the mercy of the Lord. Oh, okay, my life is in the control of the Lord. If he wants me to undergo this suffering, it's his mercy. That's it. And why is it mercy? Because otherwise I would have to suffer more. He is only giving me a glimpse. He's so merciful. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, one who knows the absolute truth in three different phases, namely Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, is called Tattvavid, for he knows also his actual position in relationship with the Supreme. So if I am the servant of Krishna and Krishna is the master, Krishna is going to take care of everything, no? He's the master. While we might have forgotten our role, Krishna has not forgotten his role. As soon as we tell Krishna saying that Krishna, I am your servant, Krishna will seriously take it up, his position as master. We might not take our position as servant seriously, but he will take his position as master seriously. Because even something little that we do, Krishna makes it big. Says, okay, this devotee has done so much service for me. Let me take care of him. He is like that. He's compassionate. He is a supreme control. He is the supreme controller. He is in full control of our life. So we don't have to become worked up due to any material situation. But again, this is far easier said than done, because we are so time immemorial, we are stuck in this material life, material world. So naturally we become worried, we desire things, we become angry, all this kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya is just because of this. But we should understand, saying that it is all in the control control of the Lord. Actually, which is why Bhagavad Gita is just mind blowing. As in, Every verse, it looks so simple, but just getting to implement it in our life is like, it seems so difficult. It's so simple. Krishna is saying, don't engage yourself in the senses. Don't consider yourself as the doer. See, this is how we have to read Bhagavad Gita. Make these points. Make a notes. Oh, okay. Just say, I'm not the only doer, so I should not make myself responsible for every situation. Okay, let me try this today. All activities that I do, I should not think I'm the doer. Second, I should not engage myself in the senses. Okay, where did I engage my senses today? Engage in my senses. Okay, I said, I ate this, it was nice. And then, I saw this, I said it was nice. I heard this, I said it was nice. Okay, are these all related to Krishna consciousness? Yes, very good. No, okay, should try to avoid this going forward. So like this, make notes from the beautiful translations and purports that Srila Prabhupada is given, in a way that we can actually implement it in our life, and that is how we are going to make progress. I mean, I remember when I came into Krishna consciousness, I started reading Bhagavad Gita. I made full Bhagavad Gita. Whatever I read multiple times, and I made multiple notes. Every time I look at it, it looked like the whole Bhagavad Gita I was writing. But I wrote it like that. And then slowly I started condensing. Okay, this is for my immediate action. This is for immediate action. This is not for my immediate action. It looks too far away. Okay, let me come back to it later. So making just those crisp points that are absolutely important for us to implement in our life. That's how we read Bhagavad Gita. That's how we understand Bhagavad Gita. Then next time when we come, because we would have already implemented some parts of what Krishna and Prabhupada is saying, we will now start understanding other aspects of Bhagavad Gita, which we couldn't even figure out in the first run. And that's how we go deeper and deeper into Bhagavad Gita. So if somebody wants to simply hear Bhagavad Gita and try to remember and implement in our life, it's just practically impossible. There's so much. We have to make notes. See, if somebody is serious in Krishna consciousness, you have to make notes. If you're not making notes, then sorry to say, but it's not serious enough. Because it's not easy to remember everything that, so many points. See, in 40 minutes discussion, we will have discussed at least some 20 important points. How will you remember every day so many important points? And it's important to remember because it's a matter of application. We should try to apply these things. So unless we make notes, we can't really make progress. Significant progress happens when we study Bhagavad Gita, not simply read Bhagavad Gita. So we are trying to study Bhagavad Gita here in these classes. The idea is so that it will enable you to make those notes so that we try to start implementing them from right away after the class. That's the idea. And then we'll understand the depth of information Prabhupada has given. So much is there. Then we'll understand, okay, hopefully we'll get more taste to read Prabhupada's books because looks like all questions to my answers are there. So let me try to read it again nicely. Isn't it? That is the idea. That is the idea. Okay. Any questions? Otherwise, we will close for the day. Any? Okay. Everybody's happy. Okay. Right. Then we can. Any other general questions anybody wants to ask? We can discuss. Otherwise, we can close.